Educating Liberals About Guns, Episode 4.
Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode 4, Educating Liberals About Guns. In this episode, we are going to talk about gun safety, okay? There's kind of 3 basic rules to gun safety, and there's a 4th one that I like to throw in. And we're going to go through this right now, okay? Number 1, and we're going to do a handgun, and we're going to do an AR-15 as well. I grabbed an AR-15 pistol just because it's smaller and it's easier for me to show you and wield it around. So rule number 1, any firearm that you pick up, like I'm about to do now, and or is handed to you, when you pick it up, keep it pointed in a safe direction. Don't point it at the person that handed it to you. Don't point it at yourself. Always keep it pointed in a safe direction. If you're at a range, indoor, outdoor range, that safe direction, by the way, is downrange. Don't point it behind you. Don't point it to the ceiling. Don't point it to the lane next to you. At a range, indoor or outdoor, that safe direction is downrange. It's a little bit different when you're in a gun store and you have 360 people around you, but we'll go over that in a second, okay? So rule number 1, always assume or keep it pointed in a safe direction. Rule number 2, when you have it pointed in that safe direction, always assume that it's loaded. So you're gonna check. You're gonna check that the magazine is empty and there's no round in the chamber, right? Now you know that you're good, okay? So people still don't like to be flagged. So this really comes into play in a gun store where you're trying to check the gun out, you know, you're pointing it and you're trying to avoid flagging somebody. It's kind of hard to do, but you have to do your best. Even though you know that it's not loaded, the person you're pointing it at won't know that it's loaded, not loaded, and that you check. So don't flag anybody, okay? If you're just trying to get a feel for the gun and see how it feels in your hand, a safe direction could be down. Open your legs, face it straight down. Don't point it up. Typically not a good idea to point a firearm up in the air for your safe direction, because again, what goes up must come down, okay? So last rule, and this is if we're actually live fire, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire, okay? So point it in the downrange when you're ready to fire, and not until I know I'm ready to squeeze, I'm sighting down the sight, not until I'm ready to squeeze will I then move my finger down here, okay? I have seen accidental discharges before. For people not resting their finger up here, they rest it here, and when they go to rack it, they grab that trigger and they release to rack that round, and the round goes off at the same time. I've seen a lot of accidental discharges like that. You can Google that. You can YouTube that, people having accidental discharges and or shooting themselves by doing that. Before I go on to the 4th rule, we're going to show you the same thing on an AR-15, okay? Point it in a safe direction. There's nobody behind you here. Always assume that it's loaded. Check the chamber. Make sure nothing came out. Make sure battery is empty. And then the same thing. When you go to fire it, finger off the trigger until you're actually ready to squeeze the trigger, okay? 4th rule. It's kind of a bonus rule. When you're actually firing, and this is more so for outdoors, whether you're on BLM shooting land or an outdoor range, not so much indoor, you are responsible for anything that you're shooting at downrange and what's beyond it. You have to know what's beyond your target. If you're shooting at a paper target and the thing goes through the paper target and hits somebody another mile away because you're not shooting in a safe place, you're responsible for that. So know what you're shooting at, and what's beyond that, it's your responsibility.